I've been a head coach for 20 years. I'll give you the good and bad from this perspective. There's only been one coach that's been to more Elite Eights without reaching a Final Four than me, and that's the former Hall of Famer John Chaney. You can say, wow, those are some tough losses, but I've always operated from this perspective. You got to beat the door down and knock at it a number of times to eventually punch it through. And I'm looking forward to uniting with the resources and this amazing institution in place here at the University of Texas and breaking through. Not once, but multiple times, competing for SEC championships and being a perennial great program like so many other great programs at this university are right now.
This is On Second Thought, episode 361, powered by Hookem.com. Cedric Golden here on a busy sports week with my guy, Kirk Bohls, the Duck. And Duck, that was the voice of Sean Miller, the brand new head basketball coach at the University of Texas. I know since our viewers and listeners last heard from us, the Horns were entering the NCAAs. They made it. Don't know how. They weren't around long. And Rodney Terry got the gate after 3 seasons. What do you think about the hire of one Sean Miller, who became the executioner at Dayton, got the Horns out of the tournament, and then took the job, pulled a Schlossnagel, almost a reverse Schloss on the Horns? What do you think about that hire, Doug?
I like the hire. I think we all saw it coming. He emerged as a clear front runner early after Chris Del Conte kicked the tires on Billy Donovan, Quinn Snyder. I think he would have loved to have had either one of them. He looked at Will Wade, but was scared off a little bit by the baggage, some of the same baggage Sean Miller has, and his kind of brashness maybe a little bit. So, uh, yeah, he also shot for the moon. He tried to see if Rick Pitino or Brad Underwood or some of those guys were interested. Nate Oates,
I never
Alabama.
thought he'd bring in an old guy like Patino. Just too much tread.
No, I agree with you. No, I totally agree with that. And that's where Sean's a good age. What is he, 56?
56 years old, be 57 this winter.
He's been in the game. Been in
Yes.
the game, 4 Elite Eights, another 4 years when he reaches Sweet 16. Sweet 16. That's eight really strong seasons. And remember, he had that really good 8-year run, didn't he, at Arizona?
8-year run with 6 Sweet 16s in the 8 years. That is consistent winning, Doug.
It is.
Something we haven't seen in these parts in a while.
And one thing I like too said, offensive style. He's an offensive minded, up tempo guy where, you know, you go back Rodney, you go back Chris Beard, you go back 17 years of Rick Barnes.
Very
You almost
deliberate.
have to go back to the Tom Penders year to see somebody who's going to push the ball up the court.
Love
And
it.
I think
I love it.
Moody Center is going to be rocking with
It's going
that.
to be rocking. And I talked to Reggie Freeman, who was extremely
Oh,
excited. He
he'll
goes,
love
because he
that.
told me that's my kind of basketball set. And that was a fun era of basketball. And so I think he hit, man, I thought he hit a home run with Chris Beard. I mean, I'm just going to be
Oh, I
honest.
do too.
Really, and if Chris Beard hadn't have done some stupid stuff in his
Mhm.
personal life, I believe he'd still be the coach in Texas, would still be playing
I
this week
agree. I
because
agree.
he had that thing going. But things happen in life. One door closes, another one opens. Rodney Terry did a heck of a job getting that first team to the Elite Eight, won another tournament game
Hmm.
last season before the wheels basically fell off in 2025 with just some unspeakable losses. The South Carolina one, Oklahoma on senior day when you knew you had to have it. Arkansas coming in here knowing that one win would knock Arkansas probably out
Hmm.
of SEC or NCAA tournament contention, and they sweep you. So just too many bad games for a man that needed to keep his job.
I really wonder, Sid, you and I were there that night when they were playing Alabama. And
Hmm.
the pregame introductions, they announced Rodney Terry, and he gets booed at home.
They weren't calling for the beer man. They weren't saying booze. They were
No,
booing. One of
and
the nicest, most
super,
upstanding people on the planet Earth getting booed in his own house. And
yeah,
he took the high road, which is what Rodney Terry does.
yes, he
He's
does.
a great man, but if we heard the booze, I know Rodney heard the booze, and that had to hurt a little bit.
And not only hurt, I think it maybe cemented in Del Conte's mind that no, can't go on like this, where they're booing my guy at home, where they were. I think their record was 3-6 at home in SEC play.
That doesn't
Three
cut
and
it.
six.
Doesn't cut it.
I mean, you know how tough the road is winning in the conference. You've got to be 500 or more in home games, and so 3-6, 6-12 overall in the league. And what's sadly is that from the high of the Elite Eight, which I think they'd have gotten to the Final Four if Dylan Dessou hadn't gotten hurt, but it kind of been trending downward ever since. Like you mentioned, the next year made the tournament. They were very inconsistent, won a game and then lost to Tennessee. This year, barely made it in a first four game, and to lose that game and then to finish 19-16, it's just not unacceptable as far as Kevin Eltife and Chris Del Conte.
How about they played one of their best halves of the year against Xavier? Look,
Absolutely.
we were courtside. That place was rocking, but in the first half, they
Yeah.
were sitting on their hands because Texas was giving it to Xavier,
Took the
taking
crowd out.
all the big shots, answering every run. And
Yep.
then it got to 64-57. They were up, and it all went away so very
Mhm.
soon. You had Z on Yema trying to be Akeem Olajuwon, shooting 3-foot air balls. You got Trey Johnson not getting back on defense and giving up a 3-point play. And you got Jordan Pope shooting a contested three over a guy 3 inches taller. They just forgot how to play basketball for an instant, and that's all it takes, Doug. In a
Yeah.
tournament setting, it only takes an instant for it all to be over.
And they reverted back to their offensive problems most of the conference season, where they'd get in the half court offense and go into that ISO stuff, and that's great in the NBA, but Rodney didn't have NBA players. He had one, but if you're going to play that style of basketball, you better have a whole lot of Trey Johnsons or Jackson Hayes and
Or
people like
JT Toppin,
exactly
guy you
or
can dump it
J-
into that's going to get it done for you. But
right.
Chris Del Conte got his man. There was a long list of candidates. I like the hire, Duck. I really like the hire.
I do
Here's what
too.
Del Conte said about meeting the Millers and what he believes Sean Miller to be.
But when I found and had my conversation with Coach Miller and his wife, I found a hungry dog. A dog that's ready to compete at the highest level, wants a chance to win a championship, has honed his offensive and defensive skills for this opportunity. He came for this job with the mindset that I want to take Texas basketball to its rightful place.
A hungry dog, Doc. A hungry dog.
That's not the worst thing you can say
In a
about a coach.
state known for steak.
Yeah.
Hungry dog.
Here's a guy, he's been at basketball schools. Xavier, small private school, basketball school. Arizona, clearly a basketball school in the wide open Pac-12 back in the days. And he's at a football school, and he's embracing that.
And
And
he's
I
a
wrote,
football fan.
he is, he said that, lifelong Pittsburgh Steelers fan, just like
Forgot to mention Dan Marino, though. I was like, yeah.
he's from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, the home of Joe Namath. But yeah, that's right where Dan Marino, that same area, Western PA. He failed to mention your boy. Uh, but he's at a football school. But my contention, they can win at football and basketball. There's
Why not?
room for both to win because
Why not?
you look at the Sweet 16 and those seven teams from the SEC they're still playing. Alabama likes to play a little football.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Auburn loves football. Tennessee, Florida, yeah, Arkansas, they love their football. So why not Texas?
Why
So,
not?
yeah.
Why not?
And, well, why not? In the past, has partly been a lack of resources devoted to the sport of basketball. You and I talk about it all the time. It's a football number one, it's baseball number two, and then basketball comes in third.
They
And
gotta money wise, I believe they need to flip.
yeah, absolutely.
They gotta
Absolutely.
get we love us some Schloss.
Oh, yeah.
Friend of the podcast, good man. But you can make a ton of money with a good basketball team.
You need to. You
And
need
you
to.
need to. In this marketplace, you really need basketball to be a clear number two. There aren't too many places in America where baseball is giving basketball a run for its money.
Right.
There aren't too many of those.
Maybe LSU.
LSU, maybe Arkansas.
Maybe Arkansas. Maybe.
Arkansas fills up Bomb Stadium.
Yeah.
So maybe Ole Miss.
Yeah, the two Mississippi schools.
So, but they need to devote more resources. They just didn't have enough talent on this team. They didn't have an inside presence. Caden Shedrick played great down the stretch,
Played
but
spot
he's
on.
not an offensive player.
No.
I mean, he banged and bullied his way to 10 points here and there, but they didn't have a guy like a JT Toppin that might get you 25 on a night because he's just a beast. They didn't have that type of guy. So it's going to take more than just one and done guy like Trey Johnson. And we're both here admitting that we don't think that Trayvon Mark or Jordan Pope met it with expectations. I
Yeah.
wish he would have moved Trayvon to point guard earlier, but
Yes.
even if he had, I still think those guys, while they had glimpses of brilliance, they just didn't have the consistency that would have been needed to save Rodney Terry's job.
And that's where you better have an alpha coach who's going to put together a roster that can win in a different roster every other year. You got to re-recruit your own guys. You don't know who's coming, who's staying, and so that's going to be paramount. Yeah, I wrote in the Houston Chronicle this week that they were only spending a couple million on basketball and NIL, and I think they're currently slotted to spend 2 to 3 million next year. That's not going to be
Not
enough.
enough. Not
That's not
enough,
good
Doc.
enough. And the revenue sharing, which we all expect to start in July, is supposed to be 20.5 million. And I'm told 14 million of that's going to go to football. And
Oh,
there are 20 other sports said, so you got 7 million less
I'm
left.
sorry. I think basketball should get 4 million of the remaining. Yeah,
Yeah, minimum.
personally, I would say football 12 million, basketball 4 million.
You want Sark coming after your butt? Don't be cutting his
He can get
football
it done.
budget.
He can get it done with 12 million. There's so
Yeah.
many boosters that are looking to pay players on the side. Sark can get it done with 12 or 13
Yeah.
million.
Well, one thing
You're
that
not gonna get it done with 3 million on hoops.
No, no, you're not. I agree with that. And one of the things that fans have to realize with revenue sharing, that's basically when these student athletes are salaried employees. They're paying them. And NIL, everything Chris Del Conte has been telling me the last month is that we may actually get out of the NIL business and let the corporations spend the NIL money on these
So get
players.
rid of the collectives.
So yeah, and a lot of the collectives may go bye-bye. It's a new frontier. Nobody really knows how it's going to play out, but ultimately what it comes down to is the money's going to come from somewhere. And if you want an elite team, you're going to have to spend elite money.
Well, speaking of elite, I did ask Sean Miller, about his quest to get to the Final Four. He hasn't gotten there. He hasn't
No,
gotten there, like he said in the opening of the show. And here's what he had to say. You haven't been to the Final Four in Texas, has been chasing one since '03. Do you think those stars aligned, and was that part of your conversations with Mr. Del Conte?
Yeah, it has, I know certainly from my perspective, hungry to get there. And I'll also tell you, I know this place is hungry to get back there and compete and win a national championship. But I think when you look at the 20-year period of time for me, I'll point you to an 8-year window. And it didn't just happen at one place. In an 8-year window, we went to 4 Elite Eights. And when you look at the 4 Elite Eights, 6 of those 8 years, we went to 2 other Sweet 16s. So I think when you're in that cycle and you can keep getting to that second round, inevitably it will happen, whether that's talking about Texas basketball or a coach himself. And I think that sustained excellence is something that you work towards improving. There are some things that I also believe that you change as a coach that can help you do better. I think one of the things from me offensively, to play a faster brand of basketball, I think gives us an even better opportunity to get to that final prize. And there's a lot of layers to that. I just believe that's how the game's played today.
Duck, he sounds like a guy that just might be getting ready to turn the corner because he's got the resources. He's at a big, big school with big money. And Del Conte has created a massive, massive arsenal of great coaches, some of whom are just like Sean Miller, so close to breaking through. Steve Sarkisian,
Yeah.
national semifinals. Mike White in softball,
Vic
got to the
Schaefer.
championship series. Vic Schaefer at Mississippi State has coached in 2 championship games, and he's
Right.
trying to, and he's been in 3 Elite Eights here. He's trying to break through. Ange Kelly was an SEC Coach of the Year.
Coach Flo. He's got national titles.
I'm just talking about major teams because Coach Flo is a winner. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we talked to Jared Elliott, the volleyball coach, and Jared goes, "Man, just lights a fire under my butt. If I don't do anything, they might forget what I did." I go, "Well, that's bull." Beep, beep, beep. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Whatever.
that shows you that
I
shows you,
love that hunger though.
and that shows you that said the mindset that these Longhorn coaches have to have every day when they wake up is that if I'm not producing at a top 5, top 10 level, I could be in trouble. I mean, Rodney basically got 2.5 years, but you could say 2 years when he had the full season. And, it's not a good look for them to be replacing a coach that quickly. But like I said, if you lose the confidence of the fans, and let's face it, they had one recruit. They got one recruit signed, a 6'10" guy, John Clark from Houston, and he's a top 75 player. The top 10 recruits in Texas, Rodney didn't get any. He got shut out on those. So
Can't lose in your own state.
where's the talent pipeline?
You can't lose in Houston. Can't lose in Dallas.
Right,
You
right.
just can't. You
Yeah.
just
So what do we give Sean to turn this thing around? A year and a half?
couple years.
Yeah.
He'll build something. They're in the tournament next year. I think in 2 years, we're talking
Get
about
going.
day type stuff with Sean. So
There we go. And here's the other thing we hit on real quick before we move on to another sport. You know, he's hungry. He is a hungry dog, like Del Conte said, because he just bought a new house. He and his wife Amy just bought a new house in Cincinnati, and we were asking, "How long you been in that house?" He went 5 months, and now that house is on the market.
I told
So
him, sell it to us. Me and
yeah,
Brandon, all right?
it's up to
We're in the
you.
real estate business. Let's buy it, Duck. We
So
got Chronicle money. Let's go.
So what I'm saying is he could have ridden into the sunset. He's got pelts on the walls. Del Conte said, just stay at Xavier, comfortable, low expectations. You don't ever sign McDonald's All-American. Here, there's going to be a spotlight on him, and he welcomed it.
Yes, he did. Let's talk women's hoops, Duck.
Yes, let's do it.
There's still basketball being played by
Oh,
our
yeah.
team. Vic Schaefer's Texas women are going to be in Birmingham, Alabama this weekend, Saturday, versus a familiar foe, the Tennessee Lady Vols.
A little too familiar.
2:30 p.m. on ESPN. We're going to be there, Duck, courtside. We're going to be there at the Legacy Arena. Here's the big question. I know you knew I was going to put you on the spot. If they beat Tennessee, Duck, they play the winner of TCU, led by one Haley Van Lith, a former Texas assassin at Louisville, and Sedona Prince, the prodigal daughter, who might come back to haunt the horns. She didn't get it done here because she broke her leg in international play, and then there was some legal tanglings. Things weren't going well, and she's had some problems off the court, but she's playing her best ball. Do the
Mm-hmm.
Longhorns, yeah, or hold on, TCU plays Notre Dame, who beat the
Yes,
Horns,
they are.
who beat the Horns earlier this season in South Bend. Do you think the Texas Longhorns can win that two-game gauntlet and get to the Final Four for the first time since 2003, and also for the first time under Coach Vic Schaefer?
Do I think they can?
Do you think
Yeah.
they will?
Oh, okay. We said can. I think they can. I don't know if they will because
Will they, Duck?
will they? I
Why are
don't
you
know.
why are you breathing so heavy?
Because I'm worried for the Fighting Vic Schaefers, just because, as we have talked all year long, they don't like to shoot the three ball. And Tennessee and Notre Dame, let's just say they're not shy about putting up the deep shot. I mean, Tennessee averages 31 threes a game. 31 threes is second in the nation. They average more than 10 makes a game. So that scares me, these two games. But as Shauna Green, the Illinois coach who Texas vanquished on Monday, said, yeah, they can win it all because they got size, they got guards, and they got a pressure defense like few other teams. So I don't know. I'm not a gambling man like you are. So,
Whatever.
but I don't know if they will or not. I don't know. Do you think they will?
I think they're going to beat Tennessee,
I do too.
but I worry because I saw them beat Tennessee here.
Yep.
I know their coach was out having a baby, but Tennessee wasn't making as many shots late, and Texas got going with the big girls, Taylor Jones and Old Acre. So um, it's going to be a tempo game. The Horns, they run selectively.
Hmm.
Tennessee likes to run too, and they like to shoot threes in transition. So I don't know that they can survive a bad Madison Booker game and win either game.
I don't either.
That's the kryptonite. She's got to score 20 or they're not going to win, Doug.
You remember what that Tennessee score was here at Moody? 80 to 76. They won by four, a team that didn't have their head coach, and they only made nine threes and only took
They
17.
were
But
9 to
that's
17.
52% pretty good, but the book went off for I think 28 and Taylor Jones had like 22, something like that.
That was a
Those
testament to
those
Texas
aren't
closeout
common numbers.
defense. Yeah, because they
Those
want to
aren't.
shoot twice that many. So
Yeah, they're going to give Texas fits and give them all they want on Saturday. It's going to come down to a few plays. I don't think they blow Tennessee out. I think they're going to win, but I think this is going to be a fourth quarter game.
I think so too. Real quick, the
Yeah,
Fighting Jim Schlossnagels
Phew, on fire.
are rolling. Who can stop them, Duck?
Probably not Missouri. Missouri, I think, is 0-6 in SEC. Haven't beaten anybody, same as the Aggies so far. But yeah, another road test. It's their second one in 3 weekends. But beating LSU, number two in the country, 2 out of 3, has to do so much for their confidence
And
and
what
their
a crowd at
pitching.
the dish. What a
Oh, that was a
crowd
great
all weekend
environment.
long, just packed in. It is there's so much more passion for baseball than there is for hoops. There
Oh,
just
it
is.
is.
You can feel the buzz when you walk into the
Right.
dish.
You're right. It's natural. And in basketball, they wait for have something to cheer about. Baseball, they're into it from the get-go.
They're ready for a
You're right.
fight as soon as they walk in.
Yeah. I like this pitching set. What do you think of the pitching set? I mean, Dylan Valantis, a freshman lefty, he's got 5 saves already.
I think
He's
he's
been
just too young to
unreal.
know,
Yeah,
I think he's too young to even know what he's doing right now. He's just flowing. He's so low key. Um, and
he
and
is
and the moment is not too big for him. And we talked to him last week. He's a surfer dude from Southern California who played
water polo.
water polo. So
How
you
about
think
that?
pitching is a big deal of that kid? I don't think so. And I think
Yeah.
they have their closer. I think Grubbs is a good situational short relief guy, but I think if they need now they need 5 or 6 outs at the end of a game, I think they're going to the
Yeah.
kid, Duck.
Oh, I do think so too. He's established himself, and Schloss even told us Sunday after the LSU series he's going to be a starter ultimately. It may not be this year, but they've got, Luke Harrison and Jared Spencer up at the top there, and they've all had really strong starts so far. And now Ruger Rios, who shut down LSU, before Volantis came in, gives them another option along with Cade Bing and Jason Flores is at number 3 starter, and their bats are alive too. So if Missouri, which is down right now, if they can take care of business and you win that series and even drop one, if you're 7-2, you may be halfway to an NCAA regional spot already.